When a man wounds the heart of a good woman, he commits an act that sets into motion a series of invisible laws, the consequences of which are inevitable, unstoppable, and inescapable. The universe itself, orderly and exact in its workings, does not overlook the violation of pure heartedness. When a man violates the trust, loyalty, and unconditional love given freely by a woman of sincere spirit, he triggers forces that silently but powerfully bring justice. There is a hidden power behind the loyalty of a good woman. It is a power that transcends the physical senses and reaches into the intangible realm where all cause and effect originate. Her heart, when pure, is a bridge between earthly matters and eternal laws. When wounded unjustly, that heart sends out a silent call for correction. It may not speak in words, it may not manifest immediately, but it is heard and it is answered. The man who wounds such a woman often believes he has triumphed. In his short-sightedness, he imagines that his actions are private, without consequence, isolated in the hidden corridors of human relationships. He fails to recognize that every thought, every emotion, every act is recorded, not by human hands, but by the universal principles that govern the flow of life itself. When a good woman is hurt, she often turns inward, seeking no revenge, harboring no malice. This act of forgiveness, of emotional discipline, multiplies her inner power 1,000-fold. While the man remains blind to the forces he has unleashed, the woman, often in tears and silence, is in fact gathering momentum for a rise he cannot comprehend. It is an eternal law that when the innocent suffer unjustly, life must compensate. Compensation is not a matter of human opinion, it is a divine mandate. Thus, the woman who is hurt grows stronger. Her pain refines her character. Her tears water the soil of her own destiny. Her heartbreak sculpts within her a new vision, a new strength, and a new elevation that no earthly betrayal can ever destroy. The man, meanwhile, has invited into his life unseen forces that will strip him of the illusions he once clung to. He may prosper for a time, he may even find temporary success, but if the foundation of his deeds is betrayal, then his tower is built on sand. It will fall when the storms of life inevitably come. It must fall, for no structure can endure that violates the eternal laws of right action. Observe life closely, and you will see a pattern repeated across cultures, generations, and lands. Men who wound good women either perish in spirit or in fortune, or else live long enough to see all they once prized slip through their fingers. They may attempt to rebuild, to repent, to reverse the flow, but time and the tides they have set into motion are not so easily negotiated with. They have made a withdrawal from a sacred account, and the debt must be paid. What follows for a man who hurts a good woman is often unseen at first, for life grants every soul the opportunity to correct their errors voluntarily. But if correction is not sought, then correction will come, sometimes as loss of fortune, sometimes as sickness of the spirit, sometimes as the haunting realization that no replacement can match the treasure once casually discarded. Meanwhile, the good woman rises, for though she may pass through a valley of pain, she emerges tempered like steel. Her character, once soft and trusting, becomes wise and discerning. Her heart, though wounded, heals with greater capacity for love and strength than before. She attracts new opportunities, greater relationships, and abundant blessings that her former betrayer can only watch from afar, wondering where he went wrong. It is a principle immutable as gravity that energy given forth must return to its source magnified. When a man gives deceit, betrayal, and cruelty to a pure soul, he signs a spiritual contract to receive the same in return, often from sources he does not anticipate. He may cry foul, he may protest. He may even believe himself a victim, but the seed he planted must yield a harvest after its kind. The wise man knows that to wound a good woman is to wound his own destiny. He knows that to protect, cherish, and nurture such a woman is to build his own empire on rock instead of sand. He knows that her love is a force multiplier, her loyalty a shield, and her kindness a fortress. Thus he reveres her not out of weakness, but out of profound understanding of the unseen forces that govern all life. The man who fails to recognize this truth may laugh for a season, but he will weep for a lifetime. For the joy that springs from righteousness is enduring, while the mirth that springs from cruelty is but a flickering candle soon snuffed out by the winds of divine justice. The good woman in her sorrow may question why pain visited her. She may believe for a time that she has lost, but in the silent chambers of the soul she is being prepared for a destiny far greater than the one she would have settled for. Life will not allow her to be discarded without compensation. Every tear she sheds is a seed planted in the soil of future joy. Every silent prayer she whispers is a building block for a greater tomorrow. The man who hurt her, unless he repents, will find that he has cut off his own blessings at the root. His plans will wither, his dreams will decay, his victories will turn to dust in his mouth. And as he sees the woman he once wounded rise to heights he can no longer reach, he will understand too late that his actions were not against her, but against the divine principles that reward good and punish evil without respect to persons. Life always balances the scales, not always immediately, not always visibly, but always surely. No deed goes unnoticed, no wound goes unpaid, no betrayal escapes the accounting of the universe, and the woman, good and pure, though battered by betrayal, walks forward into a brighter dawn. She will find love again, but deeper and truer this time. She will build again, but stronger and taller this time. She will laugh again, but with a joy not tinged by the fear of betrayal. She will shine again, and her light will be so brilliant that even those who once underestimated her will be blinded by the radiance of her triumph. The man, should he have the courage to face the mirror of truth, may seek redemption. Redemption is possible, but it demands total humility, total admission of wrong, total commitment to righting the past by living differently in the future. Few have the strength to walk this path, but for those who do, mercy stands ready. For the universe is not only just, it is also merciful to the truly repentant. Still, for most who wound a good woman, repentance does not come soon enough. Pride stands in the way, arrogance blinds them, excuses justify their cruelty in their own eyes, and so they continue, not realizing they march toward their own downfall with every step. There is no greater fool than a man who believes he can mistreat a good woman without consequence. There is no greater tragedy than a man who wakes too late to the value of what he threw away. And there is no greater victory than a woman who rises above the ashes of betrayal to build a life more magnificent than she ever dreamed. Pain is a refiner's fire. For the woman, it purifies, it strengthens, it enlightens. For the man, if he does not repent, it becomes a consuming fire, eating away at his peace, his fortunes, and his future. Thus life is perfectly just. Thus the universe maintains its perfect order. A man's true measure is revealed not in how he treats the powerful or the useful, but how he treats the vulnerable and the loyal. If he abuses trust, betrays loyalty, or wounds love, he forfeits the protection and blessing that come from the unseen realms. If he honors them, he taps into powers that move mountains on his behalf. Thus every man must choose carefully. His actions today will be the architects of his tomorrow. His choices today will either build a palace or dig a grave for his dreams. No man who has wounded a good woman walks away unscathed, even if outward appearances suggest otherwise. For the true damage is to his own soul, and it is a wound that bleeds silently, steadily, invisibly, until the loss becomes undeniable. Likewise, no good woman who has been wounded walks forward alone. Invisible forces walk beside her, strengthening her steps, guiding her path, opening doors that no betrayal can close. Life, in its relentless justice, will elevate her higher for every tear she shed, and will bless her double for every heartbreak she endured with dignity. The man who hurt her will watch from a distance, perhaps bitterly, perhaps regretfully, perhaps with the gnawing hunger of a soul that once had access to treasure and squandered it. He will learn, though the lesson comes hard, that a good woman's love is not a resource to be exploited, but a gift to be revered. The scales always balance. The heart always avenges itself through the forces of the universe. Justice may delay, but it never forgets. Kindness may be wounded, but it is never defeated. Goodness may suffer, but it is never destroyed. Every choice a man makes becomes a seed planted in the soil of destiny. When he plants seeds of deceit, betrayal, and cruelty into the life of a woman whose heart was pure toward him, the soil does not produce roses. It produces thorns, it produces weeds, it produces a harvest that cuts into his future with merciless precision. The pain he caused becomes the architect of the lessons he will be forced to learn, not because life is cruel, but because life is just. When a good woman is hurt, she often says little. She rarely exposes the wrong done to her. She seeks no courtroom, files no complaint to the crowds. But it is her silence that holds the most devastating power, because it speaks directly to the laws that rule all things. There is a tribunal greater than any on earth that records every injustice done in the shadows. It has no need of witnesses. It has no need of judges, for it is governed by principles that automatically ensure that justice is delivered, not by whim, but by law. A man may think he has escaped accountability because he walks away without challenge. He may believe that because the woman does not seek revenge, he is free. He is wrong. He is entangled in consequences he cannot see, but he will feel them when the appointed time arrives. He will feel them when his plans unravel without explanation. He will feel them when doors that once opened easily now remain closed. He will feel them when he seeks loyalty in others, but finds only betrayal. He will feel them when he thirsts for peace, but finds only restlessness in his soul. For every seed he planted in betrayal, a harvest waits in silence. Meanwhile, the good woman begins to transform. Though she may walk through the valley of heartbreak, she walks with unseen angels at her side. Her sorrow sharpens her discernment. Her loss polishes her wisdom. Her brokenness becomes the foundation of her future greatness. Every night she spent crying becomes a night in which her spirit was strengthened. She learns what she would not have learned otherwise. She becomes what she would not have become otherwise. She rises, not in spite of her pain, but because of it. And when she rises with a force that no betrayal can ever touch again. The man who hurt her will recognize her later, but only by memory, for she will have become something so radiant, so elevated, that she will be unreachable to the smallness he chose when he betrayed her. He will see her living the life he forfeited by his actions, and he will understand too late that to hurt a good woman is to hurt his own future. The laws that govern success, love, abundance, and peace are impartial. They do not play favorites, they do not overlook, they do not forget, they simply deliver to each according to the seeds they have sown. A man who sows cruelty reaps loneliness, a man who sows betrayal reaps distrust. A man who sows lies reaps confusion. It is a law as sure as gravity. It is often said that what you do to others you do to yourself, but it is especially true when the other is a good woman. For a good woman carries with her a covering of grace, an invisible shield of favor. To wound her is to pierce that shield, and when that shield turns away from a man, it leaves him exposed to forces he cannot control. At first he may feel nothing. Success may still attend him. Opportunities may still knock. But it is the nature of consequences to gather slowly, like a storm building beyond the horizon, and when it breaks, it leaves nothing untouched. He may wonder why he feels restless, why happiness evades him, why his victories taste bitter. He may move from one achievement to another, but none satisfy. He may surround himself with others, but feel alone, for he has severed himself from the favor that once covered him through her loyalty and love. The good woman, however, in her solitude, discovers her power. She rebuilds her dreams without the dead weight of betrayal. She reimagines her future without the limitations of false promises. She rekindles her spirit without the dampening shadow of deceit. And so her life begins to blossom. New relationships emerge, stronger and more worthy. New opportunities arrive, greater and more fulfilling. New dreams are born, brighter and more powerful. And she walks forward clothed not only in beauty, but in dignity, wisdom, and indomitable strength. The man, left behind in the ruins of his choices, may attempt to return. He may knock on doors he once took for granted, but the woman who has healed does not open old doors. She knows better now. She understands that sometimes the greatest loyalty she can show is to herself. Life honors her decision, life rewards her faithfulness, life crowns her perseverance with blessings that far outweigh the losses she once mourned. The man, meanwhile, continues his lonely march. He may seek solace in distraction. He may chase pleasure to numb the ache. He may deny the connection between his pain and his past actions. But deep within, he knows that the pain he feels was born the moment he hurt a woman who gave him only her best. The unseen forces that govern all things move slowly but surely. They align circumstances in such a way that the man will encounter reminders of his folly. A song, a place, a face in a crowd, all will become messengers whispering the truth he tried to ignore, that he lost something sacred and it was by his own hand, and the woman he wounded, she no longer mourns. She no longer waits. She no longer wears the chains of betrayal. She flies free, carried by the very winds that once tried to break her. She builds empires where others thought she would crumble. She laughs without fear of tomorrow because she knows her tomorrow has been purchased by the strength she forged in the fires of today. The man who hurts a good woman digs two graves, one for the relationship and one for his own peace. Yet he rarely knows it at the time. He imagines he has won some temporary victory, but life will not be mocked. The laws that govern cause and effect require no one's permission to operate. He may rise quickly after the betrayal, but he will fall inevitably. The forces he has unleashed are impartial and exact. They do not need anger to act. They simply execute the justice written into the fabric of reality itself. A man who honors a good woman partners with destiny. A man who wounds a good woman fights against destiny, and no man, however clever or strong, wins a battle against destiny. The woman he hurt, though once broken, is rebuilt stronger. Her broken pieces do not remain scattered. They are gathered, refined, and reforged into something unbreakable. She becomes immune to lesser loves, immune to false promises, immune to shallow words. She demands by her very being a higher quality of life and love. She ceases to be a woman waiting to be chosen. She becomes a woman only the worthy can even hope to approach. And so the cycle completes itself. Betrayal yields loss. Loyalty yields reward. Pain yields power. Injustice yields elevation, and the unseen laws of life continue their work, never sleeping, never erring, never forgetting. A man who hurts a good woman chooses his own sorrow. A woman who survives betrayal chooses her own destiny. One choice leads to regret, the other leads to rebirth. And though the road of rebirth is hard, though it demands tears, solitude, and fierce self-discipline, it leads to a place so high, so bright, so glorious, that the pain becomes a distant memory, a mere stepping stone on the path to greatness. Thus life vindicates the good. Thus the universe balances all things. Thus betrayal becomes the very tool by which greatness is forged in the soul of the woman who refused to be broken. There comes a moment when a man who has wounded a good woman faces the silent verdict of his own soul. He may not admit it outwardly. Pride may forbid confession. Ego may mask the truth. But the soul keeps perfect records, and every action he took against loyalty, purity, and love returns to stand before him in moments he cannot control. It is in quiet hours, when the noise of the world fades, that he feels the gnawing emptiness left by his own betrayal. It is when victories ring hollow, and when companionship feels shallow, that he recognizes the true magnitude of what he lost. He may try to outrun the realization by changing environments, changing faces, changing distractions, but truth is a tireless hunter. It catches all who flee. For the man who wounds a good woman has not simply wronged another human being, he has violated the highest laws that govern life itself. These laws do not need vengeance. They require no human enforcement. They work invisibly, inevitably, powerfully, like the unseen forces that pull the tides or push the stars through the heavens. He may attempt to build anew on the ashes of what he destroyed, but the foundations he lays will be unstable. Trust will elude him. Peace will escape him. Love will mock him. For the energy he once dismissed now stands as an unseen wall between him and his desires. Meanwhile, the good woman moves through her own valley of sorrow, but where the man stagnates, she evolves. Where he repeats mistakes, she learns. Where he clings to illusions, she embraces truth. She gathers every shattered piece of her heart, and through patient endurance molds them into armor. The pain he caused is transformed within her into wisdom, strength, and discernment. She no longer looks for love to complete her. She becomes complete within herself. She no longer seeks validation. She validates herself. She no longer fears being alone, for she understands that solitude is the sacred ground where personal power is born. And so, the universe conspires in her favor. New opportunities, richer than before, present themselves. True friendships, deeper than before, form around her. Love, more worthy than she ever imagined, draws nearer. For when a woman refuses to be defined by betrayal, she becomes a magnet for blessings that betrayal tried to steal. The man, however, remains ensnared by the invisible chains of his own making. Each new endeavor he touches is subtly tainted by the energy he carries. Each relationship he enters is haunted by the echoes of the one he carelessly destroyed. Each night he spends in hollow laughter or shallow pursuit is a silent witness to the greater joy he forfeited. He may succeed in the eyes of the world for a time. He may gather wealth, titles, attention. But no outer success can quiet the inner voice that whispers of the treasures he lost. The applause of crowds cannot replace the silent loyalty of a woman who once believed in him with her whole heart. It is not punishment he suffers, it is education. It is not revenge he encounters, it is revelation. Life teaches by allowing the consequences of choices to ripen fully, and when the harvest is bitter, it is because the seeds were bitter. The good woman, by contrast, does not need to wish him harm. She needs only to keep walking, keep growing, keep rising. Her victory is in her refusal to be destroyed. Her triumph is in her capacity to transform agony into achievement, sorrow into strength, betrayal into brilliance. She understands what he never realized, that no one who betrays a good heart wins in the end. Temporary satisfaction cannot rival the deep fulfillment that comes from honoring love. Momentary pleasure cannot replace the lifelong blessing of loyalty. Fleeting excitement cannot substitute for the lasting peace of genuine connection. As her life expands, as her soul flourishes, she forgets the wound and remembers only the wisdom it gave her. She ceases to mourn the loss and begins to celebrate the freedom. She stops asking why he hurt her and starts asking what greater destiny was being prepared for her all along. And so her spirit soars, while his remains tethered. Her light shines brighter, while his flickers uncertainly. Her future opens wide, while his narrows by the consequences he cannot escape. There is a mathematics to life. a precise accounting that cannot be altered by charm, deception, or self-illusion. What a man does to a woman who gave him her best returns to him magnified, not because life seeks to punish, but because life seeks to teach. To hurt a good woman is to declare war against one's own happiness. To betray her is to sabotage one's own future. To take her love lightly is to cast away the key to doors that may never open again. The man who hurt her will watch in stunned silence as she becomes a woman beyond anything he could have contained. He will watch opportunities come to her that he can only dream of. He will see her embraced by the kind of love he once squandered. He will feel the sting of his own foolishness with every step she takes away from the past he destroyed. He will come to understand, in the deep hours of the night, that the greatest loss a man can suffer is not the loss of money, power, or status, but the loss of a woman who loved him with an honest and open heart. And that realization, once it arrives, will not leave him. It will accompany him like a shadow, reminding him at every turn of what he had, what he hurt, and what he can never retrieve. The good woman, on the other hand, will continue her ascent. She will no longer think of him with anger or sorrow, but with detachment. He will become, not a chapter, but a footnote in the grand story of her becoming. For once a good woman heals, she rises to a height where betrayal cannot reach her. She drinks from the fountains of wisdom. She dances in the light of self-respect. She breathes the rare air of true freedom, and the man who hurt her, he will remain earthbound, shackled not by her vengeance, but by his own choices, a prisoner not of her will, but of his own regret. For when you wound a good woman, you wound the very source of blessings life intended to give you, and life, being the impartial teacher it is, ensures that you feel the full measure of that loss not by force, but by consequence. And there is no man clever enough, strong enough, or lucky enough to escape the law of consequences. The man who hurts a good woman plants seeds of regret in the soil of his own future. At first, he feels nothing. The thrill of freedom, the illusion of superiority, the intoxication of control blinds him. He convinces himself that he was right to dismiss her, to hurt her, to take her love for granted. He walks away proudly, unaware that every step is a step into a valley of barren years. The betrayal of goodness does not bear fruit immediately. No, life is far more patient. It waits until the man believes he has won. It waits until he has celebrated false victories, until he has surrounded himself with shallow triumphs, until he believes he is invincible. Then life gently removes the curtains, and he sees the wasteland he has created. He may achieve worldly success. He may conquer business, accumulate wealth, gain fleeting admiration from those who do not know the true measure of a man. But within him a silent rot begins. He becomes restless, irritable, dissatisfied with everything he once desired. He changes cities, jobs, lovers, hobbies, but peace continues to elude him. He cannot understand why. He cannot name the emptiness gnawing at the edges of his mind. What he does not realize is that by hurting the good woman who trusted him, he broke a sacred contract with life itself. Love is life's highest offering, and to betray it is to forfeit future blessing. The heart he wounded was a vessel of favor, of protection, of unseen riches that now flow elsewhere. The good woman he wounded does not remain in mourning forever. No, pain, when faced with courage, transforms. She cries, she questions, she grieves, but she does not stay broken. A fire is lit within her, a fire that refuses to be extinguished. Slowly she rebuilds herself, not as she was before, but stronger, wiser, and infinitely more radiant. She learns that her value was never dependent on his recognition. She learns that her worth was never tied to his ability to appreciate her. She learns that no man's betrayal can diminish the royalty of her spirit. She stops trying to explain herself. She stops trying to convince anyone of her goodness. She simply becomes the proof of it through her unstoppable rise. The universe favors the pure in heart, and soon she sees signs of divine compensation. New doors open that had been invisible before. Genuine people enter her life, friends who uplift, mentors who guide, partners who cherish. Opportunities that once seemed distant now seek her. Love that once seemed impossible now surrounds her. And somewhere in the shadows of his own making, the man watches. He watches the woman he thought he could discard walk into a destiny more magnificent than anything he could have given her. He sees her shining in ways he never imagined. He hears of her successes, feels the warmth she gives to others, sees the glow of happiness on her face. And he realizes too late that he was never her crown. She wore her own crown all along. He may attempt to reach out, to apologize, to reconnect. But life is a stern teacher. When you burn the bridge that leads to loyalty and true love, you are not always granted the privilege to cross back over it. Sometimes the door you slammed shut never opens again. Sometimes the lesson is in the finality of the loss. The man begins to understand that no matter how many new faces he meets, none can replace the one he betrayed. No matter how many arms he falls into, none will embrace him with the pure devotion he once had. No matter how many times he laughs, he cannot recreate the simple, soul, deep joy he once knew. And as he tries to fill the void, he finds it growing larger. As he seeks to numb the regret, it sharpens its sting. As he runs from the memory, it follows faster. Meanwhile, the good woman no longer battles the ghost of betrayal. She has become so immersed in her growth, her dreams, her peace, that she rarely remembers the man who once caused her pain. If she thinks of him at all, it is without hatred or sorrow. It is with a calm, detached compassion for a man who wounded himself even more than he wounded her. For that is the final truth. When a man hurts a good woman, he ultimately wounds his own future more deeply than he wounds hers. She was always destined to rise, with or without him. She was always built to survive, to heal, to triumph. He, however, must live with the awareness that he abandoned a once in a lifetime gift. He must confront the reality that while he was busy chasing illusions, the treasure he once held in his hands was lost forever. The universe, ever wise, does not punish with cruelty. It corrects with clarity. It allows the man to see in painful relief what he traded for momentary satisfaction. It lets him feel in the depths of his being the full weight of the blessings he cast aside, and in this awareness he finds no escape. No matter where he travels, what he achieves, how loudly he laughs, the truth follows him. The good woman he hurt was not an accident, not replaceable, not forgettable. She was a divine appointment, a rare and sacred trust, and he failed to honor it. In her healing, the good woman discovers the hidden power within her spirit. She realizes that her heart was not broken permanently. It was broken open, expanded, refined. She becomes an unstoppable force, a light that no betrayal can dim, a soul that no disappointment can destroy. She inspires others by her resilience. She uplifts others by her joy. She teaches others by her quiet strength. She does not seek revenge. She seeks renewal. She does not cling to the past. She steps boldly into the future. She does not curse the man who hurt her. She blesses the experience that taught her how unstoppable she truly is. The man, on the other hand, faces the slow erosion of his own soul. He wears a mask in public, but fights a battle in private. He cannot reclaim the trust he lost, the love he squandered, the life he could have built. And in those silent, lonely moments when the noise fades and he is left alone with his thoughts, he hears the unrelenting truth. The good woman he hurt was never his to own, only his to honor. He failed the test, and life moved her forward without him. No amount of future effort can erase the moment he chose betrayal over loyalty, selfishness over devotion, pride over humility. He is forced to watch from a distance as the good woman lives the life he forfeited, loves the way he could not, and shines with a light that no regret can touch. And in this, life teaches the final, unbreakable law: to harm goodness is to harm oneself. The good woman walks freely into her destiny, carrying wisdom where there was once pain, strength where there was once sorrow, and peace where there was once chaos. The man remains trapped in a cycle of regret, endlessly chasing a redemption he can never fully claim. For in the mathematics of life, nothing is lost, everything is transformed, and those who betray love lose more than they can ever comprehend. There comes a season when the pain the man caused begins to turn against him. At first he may not notice it. He believes he has escaped consequences, that he has walked away untouched. But life is not mocked. It merely waits. It allows the seasons to turn until the man is confronted not by punishment from the outside, but by the slow deterioration of his own spirit from within. Where once there was ambition, he finds apathy. Where once there was certainty, he finds confusion. Where once there was strength, he feels an invisible weakness he cannot explain. He tries to shake it off, to blame external circumstances, to accuse others, but deep down he knows the truth. He betrayed something pure, and life does not reward betrayal with lasting peace. The good woman he hurt, meanwhile, is undergoing a different transformation. Her nights of sorrow, her tears of confusion, her battles with self-doubt are slowly forging a diamond out of the coal of her broken heart. She begins to understand that her worth was never negotiable, never conditional on another's ability to appreciate it. She wakes up each day a little stronger, a little wiser, a little more radiant. The man in his blindness thought he was discarding a burden. In truth, he was releasing a blessing. He believed he was gaining freedom. In truth, he was chaining himself to a future haunted by the ghost of lost goodness. No matter how much success he chases, it will always feel just slightly hollow. No matter how much applause he receives, it will never drown out the quiet voice inside reminding him of what he abandoned. As the woman rises, her energy shifts. She no longer begs for answers. She no longer demands closure. She no longer diminishes herself trying to understand why she was not enough. She realizes, with a fire burning in her chest, that she was not enough. She was simply too much for a man unwilling to rise to the level of her spirit. And as her light grows, something remarkable happens. New opportunities that were once blocked by her misplaced loyalty start flowing to her with ease. New friendships, filled with genuine support and kindness, begin to surround her. New dreams, once dormant inside her spirit, awaken and blossom into reality. She becomes magnetic, not by trying harder, but by standing fully in her truth. She does not seek revenge, she seeks evolution. She does not lower herself to spite. She rises to inspire. Meanwhile, the man finds that the relationships he pursues after her lack depth. They may offer momentary pleasure, but they do not touch his soul. He may surround himself with admirers, but none of them will truly see him. They will only see the surface, and after a time, the surface wears thin. He tries to replicate what he lost, but the universe, ever fair, ensures that he understands you cannot fake depth. You cannot manufacture true connection once you have betrayed it. You cannot replace a good woman with convenience, and you cannot buy back genuine love with charm or bravado. The good woman's absence becomes louder than her presence ever was. Her silence echoes more powerfully than her words once did. Her absence teaches him lessons her loyalty could not. For some men, it takes losing a good woman to understand the rarity of what they had. And for some, the lesson comes too late. He may try to return, knocking on the door he once slammed shut, but he will find that time has done its work. She is no longer the woman he hurt. She has outgrown the cage he once tried to keep her in. She has built a palace where once there were ashes. And as he stands on the threshold, he realizes the most painful truth of all. He is a stranger to her now. He cannot walk back into the life he once took for granted. He cannot reclaim what he once devalued. He can only stand in the distance, watching her thrive, knowing he had a front row seat to her greatness and squandered it. The man who hurts a good woman believes, in his arrogance, that she will wait for him, that no matter what, she will remain where he left her, broken and hoping for his return. But life has designed the good woman for more than waiting. It has designed her for conquering. It has designed her for glory. And so, while he drifts aimlessly through half-hearted connections and shallow victories, she builds an empire out of her pain. She becomes the evidence that heartbreak is not a death sentence, but a launching pad. She turns her wounds into wisdom, her scars into stories, her tears into triumphs. In the secret chambers of his heart, the man understands that he did not just lose a woman. He lost a future that was tied to her love. He lost the peace that only comes from being truly loved by someone who saw the best in him even when he showed the worst of himself. The good woman does not celebrate his downfall. Her victory is not in seeing him broken. Her victory is in realizing she was never broken by him. She was merely directed into a future brighter than anything she imagined, while clinging to someone incapable of honoring her. And thus, life continues its relentless march forward. The man, weighed down by regret he cannot erase, trudges through days that feel increasingly empty. The woman, lightened by lessons she embraced, soars into days filled with purpose and joy. The man learns too late that a good woman's love is a blessing, not a guarantee. It is a treasure, not a right. It is a sacred offering, not a possession. And when you treat a sacred offering with contempt, you do not destroy the offering. You destroy your ability to ever receive it again. The man realizes that there are no shortcuts back to her heart. There are no bargains to be struck, no apologies grand enough to undo the past. There is only the silent acceptance that he was given a rare chance, and he squandered it. The good woman, in her ascension, teaches all who watch her that dignity is louder than bitterness, that healing is stronger than hatred, and that growth is the ultimate revenge. And as she stands radiant and untouchable, she becomes living proof that when life removes someone from your journey, it is not to punish you, but to prepare you for something greater. She becomes a testament that not every loss is a loss. Some are blessings disguised as heartbreak. The man sees this from afar, perhaps wishing he could undo the damage, but knowing in the depths of his soul that some mistakes cost more than you can ever repay. He learns that life does not allow those who abuse goodness to enjoy it forever. It moves goodness to safer hands. It moves love to hearts that will cherish it. It moves loyalty to souls that will protect it. And he learns, too late, that hurting a good woman was never just a mistake. It was the greatest failure of his life. There comes a time when the man can no longer escape the echo of his decisions. He may fill his days with distractions, with busyness, with empty pleasures, but when night falls and silence creeps in, he must confront the face in the mirror. And that face tells a story of choices made in ignorance, a story of blessings squandered in arrogance, a story of a good woman lost through thoughtless hands. Regret, once a distant shadow, grows into a towering figure that walks beside him. It whispers in moments he least expects. It interrupts his triumphs. It clouds his future relationships. No matter how hard he tries to replicate the purity he once destroyed, nothing feels the same. The warmth is missing, the depth is gone, the laughter feels hollow. He realizes that there is no shortcut to rebuilding what he threw away. Time cannot be reversed, words cannot unspeak the hurt, actions cannot be undone. There is no eraser strong enough to wipe away the memory of what he destroyed. And so he learns, painfully and thoroughly, that a man who hurts a good woman does not simply harm her. he alters the course of his own soul. Life, in its wisdom, grants every soul a choice. It offers opportunities to nurture, to cherish, to honor. But when a man violates these sacred opportunities, when he inflicts pain on a heart that only sought to love him, he forfeits treasures he may spend the rest of his life seeking, never to find again. And yet, life also extends mercy, not always by restoring the old, but by offering the chance to become wiser. If he chooses, the man may change. He may transform his regret into resolve. He may learn the sacredness of loyalty, the pricelessness of sincerity, the rarity of devotion. He may rebuild himself not in pursuit of reclaiming what he lost, but in becoming worthy of something better than he ever imagined. But make no mistake, the road is long, the lessons are harsh, and the price is heavy. The good woman he hurt will not wait at the door. She has her own mountains to climb, her own stars to touch. She has become a force too grand to be confined by the memories of what was, and she, in her growth, serves as a living monument to the truth that no betrayal, however deep, has the final word over a soul determined to rise. She becomes a silent teacher to the world around her, a proof that pain is not the end, but the beginning of a greater ascent. The man who hurt her may one day witness her greatness from afar, understanding that while he played a role in her story, he was never the author of her destiny. She was always destined for greatness. He simply missed the honor of walking beside her. And so the laws of life stand firm and unbreakable. To honor love is to unlock power. To betray it is to forfeit treasure beyond imagination. The good woman rises. The man who hurt her is left to reckon with the truth that when you wound love, you do not destroy it. You only destroy your right to it, for life does not forget, the universe does not forget, and the soul, once touched by true goodness, never forgets what it lost by failing to protect it. And so the final reckoning arrives not with thunder or fanfare, but in the quiet spaces of a man's heart. The realization dawns slowly at first, creeping into his mind like a slow tide rising. He sees clearly what was once blurred by ego. He feels the weight of the loss he once dismissed so easily, and it is then, standing alone in the ruins of what could have been, that he truly understands the magnitude of the mistake he made. He learns that hurting a good woman is not an event but a sentence. It is a life sentence written not on paper, but in the aching corners of the soul. It is a silent sentence that robs sleep, steals joy, and poisons future relationships with a bitter aftertaste of what once was and can never be again. There is no shortcut out of the pain. No new relationship can fully erase the memory of genuine loyalty once betrayed. No success can fill the void left by the absence of real love. He may win accolades, he may acquire wealth, he may even find companionship, but he will always carry within him the knowledge that at one time he was given something pure, something whole, something rare, and he crushed it with careless hands. And life ever just ensures that the lesson is not a fleeting one. It imprints it on his soul so that he will teach others by his example, not through his victories, but through his failures. Others will look at him and understand that when you betray a good woman, you betray your own destiny. You sever ties to blessings that only flow through the channel of sincere love. Meanwhile, the good woman he hurt stands stronger than ever. She does not crumble under the weight of betrayal. She transforms it. She builds something greater out of the wreckage. She becomes a woman of depth, of power, of undeniable presence. She does not need to seek revenge because her very existence becomes a living triumph. She walks in dignity, she speaks with wisdom, she loves again, but this time she loves herself more fiercely than she ever loved anyone else. Her heart, once shattered, becomes a fortress. Her mind, once confused, becomes a weapon of clarity. Her soul, once entangled, becomes a lighthouse for others still struggling in the dark. She is no longer the woman who begged for understanding, for kindness, for love. She has become the woman who commands respect simply by being. And the man, standing outside of her new world, understands finally and fully that he was never her anchor. He was her lesson, and she has graduated far beyond him. He realizes that she was not destroyed by his betrayal, she was delivered by it. She was freed to find a life that never depended on a man too small to hold the magnitude of her spirit. She was set on a course where her brilliance could not be dimmed by someone afraid of her light. He will forever be a footnote in her story, a small chapter in a book filled with chapters of triumph, growth, and glory. And he will forever wonder what could have been had he chosen better, acted wiser, loved deeper. But life moves forward, life rewards courage, life rewards resilience, life rewards those who, even when crushed by betrayal, stand back up, brush off the dust, and walk forward with fiercer determination. The good woman becomes the evidence that betrayal is not a life sentence for the betrayed, but a life sentence for the betrayer. She becomes the evidence that growth after devastation is not only possible, it is inevitable for the soul determined to rise. Her future is not defined by who hurt her, it is defined by who she chose to become after the hurt, and that choice, that indomitable decision to rise, makes all the difference. The man, left behind in the echoes of what once was, serves as a living reminder to all men who encounter his story. When you are given the love of a good woman, protect it as you would your very life. For indeed, a part of your life is bound to the way you treat that love. To wound it is to wound yourself. To betray it is to betray your own future. To lose it is to lose a treasure rarer than gold and more priceless than the finest riches of earth. Treat it well, and you soar. Destroy it, and you spend a lifetime learning that some blessings, once lost, never return. And in the final measure of a man's life, when all the noise has faded, when all the illusions have been stripped away, when all the distractions have dissolved, it will not be his victories he thinks about. It will be his regrets. It will be the moments he failed to honor what was sacred. It will be the opportunities he squandered out of arrogance, pride, or blindness. And nothing will haunt him more than the memory of a good woman he hurt, the woman who loved him in ways he never deserved, and who he taught, by his own failure, that she could survive anything, even the loss of him. And she, reborn in fire, shining brighter than ever, will go on to build a life more beautiful than anything she once imagined, while he, left alone with the knowledge of what he lost, will learn the hard and final truth, that when you hurt a good woman, you don't break her, you break yourself.